Welcome back to another video. Back here in the shed again today, working on the R34 once again. As you can see, still got the motor in the car. As you've seen in the last video, we got all the brakes and stuff swapped into the coupe sitting at the front, so all of that is all done and sorted. Wheels are back on, hopefully for the last time. I'm hoping those wheels won't have to come back off. Same with this car, we'll just swap the wheels between the two, so that's all sorted. The motor is pretty much ready to come out. All the gearbox loom has been pulled out. That's all sitting on the floor here. I've got the AC and power steering pump / compressor. They're yet to come off, so I'll be pulling those out of the way and then pulling this up, and the other coupe shell actually has a pump and compressor already there, so they'll just bolt straight back up to the motor. Just means I don't have to re-bleed anything, don't have to worry about letting off gas or anything like that, so that'll be awesome. I've got a few little clips left running around the back. I've got coil pack loom, injector loom. That should be all of the engine harness undone, and then once I pull off those two pumps, motor should be sweet to come out. That out of the way, continue to pull the rest of the loom. So as well as having the loom for the engine coming from the ECU, it also runs to things like your ABS module and your indicators and little bits and pieces that run down on the chassis rail. So I'll be pulling all of that out, and that'll all be getting straight swapped into the other car. As well as that, I'll be getting my boost solenoid from the e-boost 2. That's all wired directly into the ECU, so that'll come out with it. Should be a super streamlined process today. After that's out of the way and all the loom's out, final thing I'll be doing is pulling the whole fuel system out of this and straight swapping it over. From there, everything should just bolt in and shouldn't have any more dramas. Today's Sunday. I'm going to need the car tomorrow to get to work, but I'm hoping this will be done early afternoon. With the amount of work that's left, which really isn't a lot, I'm expecting around 3, 4, maybe even 5 o'clock at the latest, should have this car running and can go for a drive, hopefully have everything working. So yeah, going to crack on with it. If you've been enjoying the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like, leave a comment, all that good stuff really helps me out. The channel's been growing at a really steady rate, so been super cool. Loving every minute of it. Really keen to get stuck into this car and make this coupe a really awesome 34. So yeah, I hope you'll be able to join me for the journey and you're enjoying everything, so crack on. Alrighty, so I've got the loom completely removed from the motor, and as you can see down there, AC compressor is separated from the bracket, same with the power steering pump. So I've now attached the chain. I'm going to set up the engine crane and lift this motor out. Alrighty, so it's been a while since I've stepped behind the camera, so the motor is out, as you can see, sitting right down there. That's all out and sorted. A problem that I had with the coupe shell is that the fuel lines that run from the tank, so the two that clip into the top hat on the fuel tank and run right up to the fuel filter and then to the fuel rail, those two lines are completely missing off the coupe because he was running fully braided front to back, so his old lines were actually deleted. So I've had to go ahead and pull those lines out completely out of my car, which may not seem like a big deal, but it's actually a really big job. So the fuel lines run from the engine bay from the filter, and they run right along the underside of the car, and then they twist up around the tank and come to the two push-on fittings. The biggest problem is that all of this has to come out just to get to them. Because they tuck around the tank, there's not enough room to be able to pull them through, and there's a heap of clips all along the way that you can't reach while the fuel tank's in place. So you have to drop the fuel tank out, which to get to that, you need to drop the whole rear subframe, which has been a massive pain because I had no diff to actually support the subframe, so I've just kind of bodged it up and somehow managed to pull it out. Now I'm going to have to get the fuel tank back on the gearbox stand and raise that up, put that back into place, and then put the subframe back on, and then that is most of this car done. I'll be pulling the wiring out from inside, so the ECU wiring and stuff, get all that done. And yeah, this turned into a massive big job. This is something I definitely was not expecting to have to do, but I'm glad that I've figured it out now rather than, you know, 8, 9 o'clock tonight or whatever it may be, some really late time where I don't want to be here pulling bits and pieces apart. I'd rather get all this dirty, long, boring stuff done, and then I can get stuck into sitting inside the car, pulling out wiring, putting it all back in, because that's easy stuff, and it should be sweet. It's currently about 1:30, I think. I've been really stuck on time, so figuring out that I had to pull the whole tank out took way too long, and then actually pulling it all back out was just a massive big job. So now that that's completely out and all sorted, it's going to be good. So yeah, going to put all this back in now, and pretty much from there move on to the next car, which is this sucker waiting to be worked on. So these are the two fuel lines. Don't know how well you can see them, probably not very well at all. But two fuel lines that run under the car. There should be 4 in total. So one of them's for the rear brakes, one of them runs to the charcoal canister, and then 2 of them are for the fuel tanks. So yeah, what a pain, but is what it is. I'm gonna keep cracking on with it and see how we go for time today. Alrighty, so there's been a bit of a changeover. We've got the sedan now off the hoist and the coupe back on the hoist. Well, on the hoist for the first time ever. So being able to look after this car, look under this car has been good. It's actually in really good condition underneath, so it's got really straight chassis rails, which the sedan didn't have. Like, they were straight, but when it was imported, they'd picked it up with a forklift and like ruined the chassis rails completely. So yeah, that's definitely a good start. But yeah, it's an awesome looking car up on the hoist. So super happy. Like I've been saying so many times, I'm so keen to get this car running. Obviously got the motor down there. I don't know how long this is going to take me. I don't want to rush it. The first thing I need to be doing is swapping this fuel line back in. So massive big fuel line that runs across the whole underbody of the car. So I'm going to be swapping that in. And what they've also done, so he was running the braided lines underneath the car like I mentioned earlier. You can see now he's just got the 2 lines, so one of those is for brakes and one's for the charcoal canister. You can see he's just using like the double plastic clips, where this uses the 4. So I'll be able to mount all the lines back together, which would be cool. It'll just be back to the nice kind of factory standard look. Obviously I've got my fuel pump and the fuel hat all out. That'll be going back into this car as well, because it has AN fittings attached to it that I don't need. And we've been having dramas trying to pull those off. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be going through. Same deal, we're going to have to drop the rear subframe. So to do that, both rear calipers pop off, undo the bolt that mounts the strut to the hub, get those 2 undone, and from there we've got subframe bolts to undo. So 4 of those, drop that out of the way, including the extra mounts, the 2 14s that sit along the front there. So those 2, we'll pull those out, subframe bolt, one there, another one at the back, up there, same on the other side. So we'll get stuck into that and we'll keep you updated with how we're going. Okay, so as I was saying, got this car back up on the hoist now. We've got the rear subframe out again, still yet to change the diff over, so that's just kind of chilling there. Like you can see, I've got the fuel tank out. We're draining all the old fuel out of this, so it's 100% empty. And then we're going to chuck 40 litres of fresh ethanol in there, just so we know it's all ethanol, it's all 85%, blah, blah, blah. This car was previously on flex fuel, so we don't know if there's any 98 mixed in there, so we just want to make sure it's a clean slate. The tank, as you can probably tell, is a brand new tank. I don't know how long ago he got it, but it's in really good nick. Compared to the last one, it was really dirty and all bashed up. So new tank, as well as a heap of other little bits and pieces that he's got. So yeah, we're just going to get this fuel out, get that all sorted, whack the tank back in. Obviously after we put new fuel lines back into it, swap the pump all while it's out of the car, just so we don't have to crawl into the back and do it later, and it should be sweet. Alrighty, so I've gone ahead and drained out all the remaining fuel, well, bar maybe a couple of 100 mil out of the tank. So now that I know it's completely empty, I can put my fuel in and be happy with it. I've gone ahead and put my Walbro 460 litre per hour pump in. The guy I bought it off said that he also had one in there, but just to be safe, I put my pump in because I know it's all working, I know it's all been wired up nicely. So I put my pump back in, mounted that all up, resealed that. I'm going to put the fuel lines back in on the car, so they run right around the tank and then plug into these 2, so that's why they're all over the place. And to get to those lines, you have to literally pull the whole tank out and the whole subframe out just to do it. So definitely good to be doing all that stuff while we're here, making sure the pump's right. It's a lot easier outside of the car. When you're trying to do it through the boot, it's a nightmare. So yeah, super happy with that. Just going to chuck those lines in, put the tank in, and hopefully put the subframe in, and then I reckon that'll be us for the night. So crack on with it. Alrighty, so we've swapped these lines over. As you would have seen, we had to fit those up, pull the tank out, it was all a big drama. But that's all in now, all nicely clipped back together. Luckily for me, there was no differences between the coupe and sedan in terms of length. So it all plugged in, no dramas at all. I was a bit worried that the length would be a bit average, so lucky for me. But yeah, we've got all those in now. I'm going to change the fuel fiddle over up the top there. See that kind of floating around up there. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of this video. Once that's all swapped over, that can all just plug back into the motor, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.